Hello, my lovelies. Good evening, all. How are we all doing? Wow, so many of you. So many of you. Oh, right. Can I just double check to make sure everyone can hear me before we get going and that the music isn't too loud? Because I can hear it in my little earphone. I don't think it's too loud, but I can't tell. Tell me, people. Is it too loud or are we okay? Loud and clear. Perfect. I can hear. Okay, and the music is not too loud, is it, in the background? I don't want to be drowning myself out and annoying people's ears. Yes, can hear you. I can't hear music. Can hear you. Sound is great. We can hear it. Music perfect. Wonderful. I do love it when technology works the way it's supposed to, don't you? Good evening, and welcome. I say good evening. It's good evening for those of you that are here in the UK. It is 7 p.m. at night, but for those that are around the world, no doubt you are running on a completely different time. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, welcome. So many of you. Who have we got? We've got Rosa, we've got Diane. Sandy, hello, my lovely. Welcome to the stream. Tar Water, I can never hear the music, but you're lovely. Oh, I love you. Thank you so much. Lunchtime in Chile. Well, welcome, Chile. Welcome to the stream. Sounds good in Connecticut. 2 p.m. here in Canada. God, I wish it was 2 o'clock here. Mad Morty, my lovely. Gosh, I'm about 10 seconds behind everyone. Yeah, but you was first on the chat. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. You was first on the chat. Sandy, looking well and rested. Yes. Yes. Italy was very relaxing, let me tell you. Let me tell you. Hey, Susie, sweetheart. Welcome to the stream. Hi, Susan. Christy, good morning in Alaska. Hey, Karen, sweetheart. Good afternoon. Welcome, welcome. Well, it's good to be here. Finally, actually getting to do a live stream. Believe it or not, my plan originally was to try and do a live stream yesterday. But would you believe it? I'd sort of set up in my mind I was going to do it. But I was like, well, I don't want to post just in case. So I didn't post anything. I thought I'll wait until the afternoon and then I'll post to say I'm going to go live. But it's a good job that I didn't because I ended up with a raging headache and went and laid down. And my little half an hour nap turned into like, I don't know, it turned into like a 3-hour sleep. But I did wake up with that headache. But it was already too late by then. So I thought, well, you know what? Bank Holiday Monday sounds like a great idea to do this. So long weekend, I was like, well, I've got an extra day, so I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna sweat it. We'll do it on a Bank Holiday Monday. Charlotte, sweetheart, welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. Lolly's telling me you can turn the music and then that's all it says. Does that mean I can turn the music up, Lolly? A smidge, because it doesn't sound like anyone can hear the music. I've got music, people, but you can't hear it apparently. Let's see what Lolly says. Is that Stitch in Time project bag behind you? Over there, that is a Stitch in Time pillow. It's a cushion. Hello in Russia, welcome to the stream. Yes, I did say it in the message, but seems like you can't see it. Okay, let's try turning this up a little bit. We'll see how we go. Tell me if you can see it. I don't want to press too many buttons in case this all goes wrong. Well, what can I say? Do you know what? Do you know when you feel like totally accomplished? I'm having one of those totally accomplished days today. So today I had like a little tick list of things that I wanted to get done, and I've actually exceeded my tick list, which is a rarity these days. So today I've managed to get to the gym first thing in the morning, go shopping and get food shopping in, come home and do gardening before it rained, because it did rain, cook roast dinner, prepare myself as best I could for the stream, set the tech up. Yeah, totally accomplished, don't you think? My job here is done. Louise says, hi, I have watched your flosstube videos for a long time, but this is the first time I've watched a live stream. Well, welcome to the stream. It's always lovely to have new people to the stream. So, how is everyone? And what is everyone doing today? Are we all stitching, or are we knitting, or are we crocheting, or are we crafting? Tell me what we're doing. What are you all doing? Charlotte, you're doing better than me. I'm doing better than me most days. So this is a win-win day. Claire, I have been a busy lady. Hi, Anne in Maryland, USA. Welcome to the stream. Kathy, I cleaned out the fridge and I cooked lunch, and my first time with your stream. Welcome, welcome. Good to hear that you got your tick list going as well. You managed to achieve. It's always good to achieve. Okay, so we've got stitching on Hayes. We've got just about to put first stitch in this evening. Lovely. This is going to be my first stitch this evening. I've been a bit lacking. We've got some stitching mini steam, full coverage, bit of cross stitch, bit of knitting of socks. Miss Jensen, never letting the side down there with the knitting of socks. Trying to get some writing ideas. Oh, the chat just moved really fast. Stitching on amethyst. Stitching, working on a full coverage, stitching. Laurie says it's raining, so I'm cleaning the fish tank. Good idea. Good idea. Blushing stitches. I'm stitching on Meg Way, and I only stitch her during your lives. Well, funny that, because guess what we're stitching here today? I thought, do you know what? We started these live streams with the Teresa made me do it with Magwayan, with the fancy lady. So it only seemed right, since it's been so long, that I pick her back up and yeah, we stitch a bit of hair. Claire's working on a Bella Filipina. Stitching on the Sleepless Stitches by Puntini. We've got some stitching on a birth sampler for my first grandchild due in July. Congratulations. Stitching on a Mill Hill. We have, Charlotte, you're not letting the side down. My Magwayan has like 20 stitches in it. Well, mine has a little more than that. Finally. Maybe that's because I was stitching it when I'm not live. And that's when I actually get some stitching done. Hi, Carla. Welcome to the stream. Stitching on some hardanger, thanks to Teresa. Hannah is eating a jacket potato. I would say yum yum, but after I've just eaten a roast dinner, food is not what I'm needing right now. I'm feeling completely satisfied, let's say. We've got some people doing some ironing. We've got some chatelaine stitching going on. Yasmin's lost her stitchy bug. Yasmin, we need to sort that out, girl. We need to get you stitching. Lisa is stitching on lavender and lace. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, look, the fact that you're here, you're with me, you're doing whatever it is you're doing, you're stitching, you're knitting, you're ironing, you're eating. Love it. Love it. So should we switch screens so that I can actually do some stitching with you and see how much you get done? Annika is doing crepe paper flowers. Ooh, very crafty. Very crafty. Hi, Linda. Welcome to the stream in Atlanta. Right, I'm going to flick the screen. Let's see where I've got to. Cynthia, carry on with that walking, sweetheart, because, yep, that's probably what I should have done when I was at the gym, but I was doing weight training. I'm going to do walking this week, so, but hopefully outside, providing the weather allows, of course. Mary's had to unpick all of yesterday's stitching. She's crocheting now. Oh, Mary, that's bad. And I know you was working on your chatelaine, so yeah, we'll need to chat about your dramas on your chatelaine. Right, I'm going to switch the screen. Let's switch over and have a little look at what I've managed to achieve. So this here is like the sash that comes down just in front of this bit, which is actually going to be the ship at the bottom. So I don't think I've done too badly. I've got quite a chunk of her done. I just need to, yeah, get a wiggle on. But it's not like she hasn't had any love, because I have pulled her out. She came all the way to Italy with me, and I did more stitching on her in Italy. So I thought, you know what? I was thoroughly enjoying myself, so I'm going to carry on because I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. I'm stitching on. I've started to go with the whole stitch what I fancy rather than what I should. You know, don't keep worrying about the ones that are getting neglected. They will get their time, but they need to have their time when I feel like it. Charlotte says, oh dear Mary, yep, that's never good when we're having a Chatelaine crisis. Just tried putting baby to bed so I can stitch and watch. Oh, well, hopefully she's gone off to sleep, or he or she has gone off to sleep. Charlotte says, you've definitely done more on yours than mine. Well, that makes a change, Charlotte, because normally it's not me that's actually being all super productive with the stitching. So finally, I'm getting to the bit. Now, when I was stitching on this, I wasn't sure that I was going to do the little ship. But once I got down there, I was like, do you know what? I don't think I can't. It's almost like it was destined. It was destined to be done. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna rock along with the ship. And to be honest, I've seen loads of people's finishes on the Bella Filipina Facebook group. And as soon as I saw it with the ship, I was like, well, it makes sense to have the ship on it. Because I know that some people were like, not sure about the ship. They weren't sure whether they were going to stitch the ship. And I'm like, no, we definitely need we definitely need the ship, I think. Just for information, we can't really read the chat now as it doesn't have a background. Ah, that's a bit of a problem. I want to ask what you, Teresa, do with your finished patterns. Silver stitches, give me 2 minutes. I'm going to get Lauren to come in and put a background so that you can actually see the chat. Because although it's fine whilst we're on the live that people don't really need to read what's in the chat, when this then goes back up on YouTube, I know that some people sort of get a bit lost in the conversation because they can't see the chat. So let me just call upon the child to come and quickly put something over that so that we can actually see the chat box. So bear with, people. Carry on as you were, and I'll be right back, okay? So bear with. Bear with. Right, hopefully, hopefully that's working. Please tell me you can see the chat on the screen now that I've put a bit of a background behind it. And that you can still hear me. You should be able to. You can't see the stitching, but that's fine because that's the bit I've already stitched. Right, so silver stitches, you said I want to ask you What do you do with your finished patterns? Do you mean what do I do with the patterns once I've once I finish stitching them? Is that what you mean? Just so that I make sure I'm understanding what you mean. Someone had framed and finished at the Bella retreat and it's amazing with the ship. Yeah. I once I saw it a few times posted up, Charlotte, I was like, I really need to do the ship. Hi Mandy, welcome to the stream. Hey Gina, sweetheart, how you doing? Are you stitching? Or are we crocheting? What are we doing? Right, let me just make sure I don't do too many of these. I must admit, when I took this away to Italy, I got to a certain portion on this, just down here, and I was going to carry on going down. And then realised that I didn't have the thread colour that I needed. So I was like, well, okay, that sort of put pay to that. Right, let me just mark off to make sure we're going right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 2 more. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, I'm having trouble with my counting as usual. That's a thing for me. It's official. I must admit, whilst we was in Italy, I was expecting to get a fair amount of stitching done, and I failed miserably. But then I don't think I was the only one that failed miserably, because I don't think Mary done that much stitching. I know Gina didn't do that much stitching. Not sure about Elaine. I'm not sure how many stitches Elaine got in whilst we was there. But yeah, it was lovely and relaxing. The weather was not so great, I'll be honest. We was very unlucky with the weather. And it wasn't even that I sort of said, you know, it needed to be a really hot break. It would have been nice to have had lots of sun, but I was quite happy just as long as we could do al fresco and sit outside in the evenings, you know, chat, stitch, do whatever. The only trouble was we had nothing but rain and thunderstorms. If I'm completely honest, it was like, yeah, okay. There's not much on the sun tanning. I mean, not to say we didn't have any sun, but there wasn't many days that we actually got to just go and sit outside. And every time we did go and sit outside, we had a storm. But their storms were amazing. It was like storm after storm would come in. Not at all like what we're used to here in the UK. You know, we get a storm, but it doesn't last very long. Normally it sort of blows away quite quickly. And in Italy, it was just like they were just rolling in straight off of the hills. It was lovely. It was a definite light show. I know that you guys in the US, you get amazing storms, but we don't normally get them sort of quite like that. So it was nice, but then after a little while, it was like, yeah, I'm getting a bit bored of this now. I was like, I think this needs to stop with the rain now. Claire says, can see the chat and hear you. Perfect. Hey Mags, my lovely. Welcome to the stream. Just popped in to say the fancy duck that started it all is now over 72% complete. Look at you with your fancy duck, sweetheart. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that mine is at 72% because it is anything but. In fact, you've just sort of, you know, I was doing looking through my whip go of what I need to complete, and June, make sure I got the right month. June has come up that I've got loads of full coverage that I need to do. And at first I was like, well, that means that I'll have to spend a lot of time on alternative reality. But you just reminded me that my fancy duck could come out for a little spin, couldn't it? That would be nice. It would be nice to get a bit more done on my fancy duck. But to be honest, I've not really been stitching as much as I would like, apart from my train stitching, in all fairness. It's almost like a lot of the other stitching has sort of not gone by the wayside, but I'm struggling to get to anything else. Hi Anne, welcome to the stream. Because I love the flowers and the high heels you are doing, and wondered if you threw the patterns away when done, or if you give them to new homes. The flowers, I love the flowers and the high heels. The high heels collection, you mean the soda stitch ones? The problem with those is the patterns are very papery, and I'll be completely honest with you. Mine always look a bit dog-eared by the time I finish with them. I wouldn't necessarily think that they're up for someone else to stitch, especially through the middle where they fold. They fold them in half, and then I have to fold them in half again because they're quite a big size. The fold line tends to put sort of like a mark in that bit, so sometimes it can be a bit difficult to read what the chart is saying on that fold line. So yeah, I have got one. So one of the high heels collection, I think it's collection 3. I think on collection 3 I've actually got 2 copies, so I could do a giveaway on that one, so that I'm sharing the love, but then that would be like a new copy rather than a used copy. But unfortunately, High Heels collection 1, I don't even know where that one went, and High Heels collection 2 looks a bit dog-eared, if I'm honest, a bit more dog-eared than it should. Do you stitch from chart or an iPad or tablet? Chloe, I tend to do both. Very dependent on what I'm stitching and where I'm stitching it. So if I'm doing a full coverage, then I tend to use Pattern Keeper. And that is normally on my Android. I have just started to sort of dabble and get very much into the whole Markup XP, which I am rather liking, I must say. That I'm doing on my iPad. So I've uploaded, I think there's a couple of my full coverages that I've put on there, but my long dog samplers are on there, those sorts of things. But when I'm stitching on the train, so if it's something that I'm going to go and stitch on the train, I tend to work off of a paper copy purely for ease, because it's so much easier to just have the chart, and I'll make like a working copy. Because that way I can just sort of like, I normally sort of put the chart underneath the needle minder, which holds it on. And because I've got everything in a small little Q-snap, I just find it easier with paper. But like, so now because I'm doing this on a live, I'm actually working from a paper pattern here. Purely for ease, because it's, even though I've got more than one screen, because I've got screens that are doing a bit of everything, I then can't have an iPad and start marking off on the iPad as well. But I do love working with Markup XP and Pattern Keeper. Both systems work fabulously. I think everyone has a preference. I don't even think I have a preference on the two. I quite like them for different reasons. In fact, I think Markup XP probably would give me, or it seems to be giving me, more information about the percentages and how long it's likely to take me to finish, those sorts of that sort of detail and information. I think is better on Markup XP than it is on Pattern Keeper. But I do still struggle. So if it's a paper copy, so I know that Markup XP is easier for people that want to take a paper copy and turn it into a PDF format. Pattern Keeper, I believe there's some issues that the compatibility is more of a problem. But on Markup XP, I've put definitely 2 charts on there which were copied paper copies, and it's done it fabulously. So I'm really quite impressed. If in all honesty, I'm sure there's lots of other people on here that will say the same thing. Tarwater says, now that the school is out for summer, I'm focusing on my upcoming vacation. I'm planning to take a mini cross stitch with me for the first time in forever. That It sounds very similar to, well, my plan when I went to Italy, I took a long dog sampler with me. I took Magwayum with me, and I took a new little start with me, which I have started, and I'll share that on my next flosstube video because that was like an impromptu start. Totally impromptu. Mad Morty says, yes, that sort of area of Italy has definitely been suffering with the climate. We had similar weather in Umbria in 2019 and 2022. Yeah, I did sort of say May in Italy is not really that much different to here in the UK. Not that the temperatures are the same, because they're still warmer than we are, but it's still very much their spring. So they do tend to get a lot more rain than they do maybe later in the year. I don't know why my chat box isn't moving. Betsy says, hi Teresa, oh my god, I finally found your live. You have been such an inspiration to me. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a wonderful time and you're doing some stitching. Charlotte says, we don't get any storms where I live. Yeah, see, we do, but they're very far and few between. You know, we can go like half the summer and we'll get one that might be off in the distance. They don't tend to come right over. But I'm all right with that because actually Honey hates thunderstorms. I've never had a dog that's been frightened of thunderstorms before. It's a first. But she is absolutely terrified, people. So whereas before I would have all the windows open and I'd be watching it out the window, getting super excited. Now it's like windows closed, TV up as loud as humanly possible, and try and sort of like hide her little face. She tends to go and hide in her crate, but then she's quite restless. So 1 minute she'll be in the crate, then she's like dive bombing you on the bed, then she's trying to hide underneath your arm. So yeah, when you sort of see, you know, when you see your little poochies sort of being that terrified by the thunder and the lightning, yeah, it's not such an enjoyable experience then. So whereas before I would be like, yay, a storm's coming over. Now I'm like, oh no. Do we give her a tranquilizer? Charlotte says, love markup XP. Yep. I'm finding that a lot of people, I didn't realise that so many people actually liked working with the markup XP, but a lot of people that I've spoken to have actually raved about it. They do really, really like it. Silver Stitchy says, I'm going on holiday in 2 weeks. I will be visiting the Isle of Wight. Can't wait. It's always lovely to have a little break, isn't it? Just to go somewhere different. 1, 2, 3. I mean, even though the weather was not fabulous, we had a very relaxing time. I mean, maybe a bit more relaxing than I thought it was going to be. Because the weather was so wet. It was like you couldn't even go for a walk because... yeah, it was like torrential downpours and huge storms. So maybe it was a little more relaxing than I thought it was going to be. But I did do a lot of sleeping. So, you know, even though I was sitting there thinking I'll do some stitching, the villa that we stayed in was like a converted farmhouse in such a rural, beautiful area. But because it's a converted farmhouse, it wasn't very good with light, so it wasn't really bright. So even though you could stay indoors and you could do stitching, the light wasn't really great. I did take a little light that I attached to my Q-snap, but I tended to find that I just got really tired then because it was like a tiny little light. So I would go off to have a nap. I've had a lot of naps. Probably that's why I've sort of achieved. I feel like an overachiever today because I think I've slept so much now. I'm full of energy. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're nearly at the end of the page on this one. Shannon here from Western Washington State in the US just got a shearing one of 6. I do one a day. Hugs. Shearing one? Oh, you have to explain. I'm not sure I'm reading the message right. Susie says markup is very good, especially in the new upgrade. Susie, yeah, I'm actually finding that I really, really like working with markup XP. Have you started the flag yet? I was going to this week, but started Seaside Tiny Town instead. Just wondered how it looks. I haven't started my flag yet. I'll be honest with you. Like I say, I haven't really done as much stitching as I would have liked. And because of that, when I am getting to stitch, I'm tending to want to go to stuff that I've already started, because it always feels like I'm neglecting stuff. So, but the flag is definitely, I mean, I've got the threads, I'm all kitted up, ready to go. I just feel, I don't know, you know, it's just like, it just feels wrong to be starting something new when I have so many other things that I'm not even getting to. So I'm like, do I, because the flag is more like a, I don't know why, but I sort of put it into the bucket of a sampler type thing. So I'm thinking maybe I should finish a long dog first before I start, or a samplerish type thing, before I start sort of like introducing yet another one. Bearing in mind that at the beginning of the year, I took a number of my stitching projects that were whips, still are whips, and put them up in cupboards out the way so that I would focus less. You know, when you've got sort of like 5 or 6 samplers to pick from, it's very hard to make a decision. So I tend to find that if I've only got 1 or 2 to pick from, it makes the decision making a little easier for me. So, right, let me just end my thread here. Don't judge my backs, people. Not that I care, in all fairness. No one sees the backs of my work, apart from the framer. It's the only person that sees it. Okay. Mad Malty said she was in Umbria in 2019 and the locals said it was the wettest May they'd had for a couple of decades. I think they're definitely on a trend then. Karen the Needlebug says, I use markup almost exclusively now. Do prefer over Pattern Keeper. And I remember, I mean, this is it, Karen. I remember when Pattern Keeper came out and it was just all the rage. Everyone was all over it. Now it seems to be that sort of there's a slight shift, but there's so much more technology for stitching out there that there's just choices for everybody. You know, I think one of the downsides of the Pattern Keeper is Pattern Keeper is only available on Android. It's still not available on iPad, I don't think, or on Apple products. Silver Stitch, she said, one of my favourite films is Enchanted April, and that is set in Italy. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. I don't know why my chat isn't moving up. Very odd. Hi, Stacey. Welcome to the stream. Don't worry, I wouldn't call it late. We've only been on for half an hour. So you've been MIA. Stupid YouTube gave me a fit and I had to create another account. Oh, the drama. You just have to love a bit of YouTube, right? Hi, Maria. Welcome to the stream. She's just started a cross stitch and doing a cute little penguin. Fabulous. Sharon's stitching on a full coverage on one of her own as a gift for her son. That's very nice of you. I don't think I could ever do a full coverage and then give it away because they take so long to do. Silver Stitches, have a nice dinner. Don't forget Kiara's new venture, Stitchy.io. Yes, so there's some more tech coming. Just so that you know, for those that don't know, Kiara is one of the lovely ladies that comes to our Essex Needles retreat. She has been working on a new software for, I think, chatelaines. Well, it's another software. So basically, you'll have Pattern Keeper. You'll have Markup XP, and obviously Kiara's now got the Stitchy.io, which I don't know whether it's fully integrated and out there yet, but I know for sure that there's at least 2 chatelaines that she's put on there. So for those that are doing chatelaines, if you're lucky enough that, I think Evening in the Park is definitely one because she's actually told me about it. But yeah, so more software to come, people. We're going to have so much choice, which I think is great because the more choices we have, and the fact that people stitch differently, they have different requirements to how they stitch, the information that they want to know about their stitching. I think it's fabulous. Really do. Stacey says, I love Pattern Keeper. I have a premium account. Karen says, plus markup is compatible with far more patterns. Pattern Keeper is rather restricted. Yeah, that's one of the reasons that I liked the markup. The markup XP allows for you to upload your own PDFs or your own sort of scanned versions, whereas Pattern Keeper won't do that. Or if you can get it to do it, I think it's quite technical and it's never completely right. Laurie says, I finished 5 different crafts in April and the beginning of May. So I joined the Deadly Aquarium sale as a reward and I bought a new Haid. What type of device do you need for these patterns? So when you say what patterns do you mean? Christy, sorry. Do you mean like the Bella Filipinas, like these sort of the fancy ladies, fancy man type of thing? Charlotte says, oh my God, I'm all ears. Off to spread the news then that the Chatelaine retreat next month. Yeah, Charlotte, let me spit up. I need to find out from Kiara exactly how far she is on it. And then obviously I can brief you. But it's going to be a bit of a deal breaker, I think. I think it's going to be another amazing app for us to use. But I definitely know that Evening in the Park is on there. But I think there's also another one on there. But I need to read the post. Let me read the post. If you join the Essex Needles Facebook group, she's actually put a post in there about the Stitchy.io software. So, you know, if you want to find out about it like super quick about where she's at, then obviously, and then you could reach out to her directly from there. I'm sure she would welcome any questions that anybody's got. Sunny Kate La says, I use both, but mostly use the markup because I can use it with scans and change the name of the floss. It also finds the symbols on it. Yeah, I love it. Is there any videos on flosstube for the markup app? Yasmin, I do believe there are. Karen the Needlebug. Karen, didn't you do a markup XP sort of demo on your channel of like how you use it and what it does? I'm pretty sure that you did. I think there is. If so, then you need to go to the Needlebug channel. But I'm pretty sure if you look up markup XP, I think they've actually got some of their own demos on there to really help you out as well. So definitely go and have a look on YouTube. There should be quite a lot out there now on it. Prissy says all cross stitch. So yeah, I mean, the markup XP I think is more compatible and more flexible for all ranges of charts, whereas Pattern Keeper tends to be very, very selective over, you know, certain long dog samplers. Yes, it does do the full coverages, but I think it's quite a struggle to even try and get a fancy lady sort of scanned copy into Pattern Keeper. But obviously markup XP is lots and lots of people do it, and it's fine. I've got quite a few of mine on mine, and it's totally fine. Pattern Keeper can be restrictive, but every time that there's a new update, patterns that I haven't been able to use in it, they are starting to become available. Yeah, I think the technology is that sort of slowly but surely as they do their updates, it just gets better and better, doesn't it? Is it the markup R/XP, the free one? Yes, I think. I don't know if it's free. I think I paid like £1.20 or £2 or something like that for mine. But then once you pay that one-time deal, that's it, as far as I'm aware. Yep, so Karen's confirmed Markup XP have a bunch on YouTube that show you how to use it, but also she done a demonstration on her channel. Stacy says, plus I use PC Stitch on my laptop and can convert the chart from there too. That's a good shout. I haven't actually tried PC Stitch myself. Mary Jane said, I reluctantly started a fancy lady BC. I dreaded learning and doing beading, but I wanted to be a part of your sale. Turns out I loved it. Thank you and everyone for the nudge and the inspiration. You are more than welcome, and I'm so pleased to hear you're on a fancy lady load of fun. Right, let me see if I can find the next colour. Hold up. 3848. 38. Oh, this is going to be a nice colour. I do love the colours on this chart, I have to say. It's quite refreshing with the teals, and I'm quite into my teals at the moment and my greens. Hence the nails. See, we even have teal nails. Not for this stream, let me say. I had these for my holiday, but yeah, I've gone down a whole teal and greens. I'm feeling them right now. Tara Wood said, I'd love to try an actual app for stitching. I got so annoyed with switching pages on my larger projects. I'm a cross-country stitcher, not by pages. I've loaded the pattern into Photoshop. You really should have a little look at, depending on what sort of stuff you do, whether it's just full coverage or whether it's, you know, just big charts, then definitely Markup XP is great for charts that you scan in, like I say. And the fact that there's so many videos out there now that actually help you sort of like do all the things. Yeah, I think it's fabulous. Right, let me just work out where I'm at, people. Is that where I'm at? I think I'm going here. I think. She says. Do you use an iPad for the app or laptop? I personally use an iPad, but that's just my preference. I think you can get it on a computer, if I'm not mistaken. But like I say, the best thing to do is go onto YouTube and do a bit of research on it to see what it does. UK subscription is $17.99 per year in the UK. So yeah, so Markup RXP is a subscription for new users, annual charge. I think when it first came out, I'm not sure whether there was a free version. Hey Emma, my lovely, welcome to the stream. You're not late. Or is it Teresa's late? If that's so it wouldn't be a Teresa video. Do you know what? I was actually on time for once. Wasn't I, people? I actually joined the stream on time. There was no technical hitches. Probably because I had Lauren on board to come and help. I think the only issue was that the chat didn't have a black box around it, so you couldn't really read what people were writing. So I got Lauren to come and fix that. I got my little tech guru to come and assist me. I mean, to be honest, it was a straightforward. I could have just clicked a button, but I didn't want to click on anything in case I accidentally kicked you all off the stream. She's never good. Judy says, yeah, when it works their way, it's supposed to skip ads. They need to work on that. Yeah, see, I don't know. I paid the subscription, so I don't know whether it has ads on it. But then that's the same as my YouTube. I have YouTube Premium because I don't like the ads either. Teresa, I just ordered the Cinderella glass slippers by Bella Filipina, but I have never used cryonic thread. Do you have any suggestions or tips for stitching with it? I would say if it's not something that you've worked with before, my advice would be don't try and stitch in too long a lengths. Other than that, sometimes if I'm stitching on sort of a 28 count or a 32 count, I tend to normally use a size 28 needle. I tend to struggle to actually thread it on a 28 count on a 28 needle, so normally I'll make it so that the eye of the needle is just ever so slightly bigger. You normally use it as a single strand, and most of the time, because it can fray quite a bit, I'll use a needle threader when I'm threading it. But other than that, just like I say, shorter lengths rather than sort of a standard size length, just because it can fray. It can fray a little bit, but other than that, it's just stitch it the same as you would a normal single strand. Kelly said, convince my mum to get it too. She's always been a paper-based. Yeah, I must admit, for people that have always been paper-based, it can be. I think it can be quite daunting to sort of step away from what they're used to. But I think once you switch over to sort of electronic, in certain situations, it's really easy to stitch and mark up. I think for someone like me who tends to make a lot of mistakes, it's very handy because when I have to unpick it, it's very easy for me to just basically unhighlight the areas that I've unpicked so that it basically looks true and correct again. When you sort of marked it off on a paper chart, you have to sort of do a sort of like, I don't know, a different colour over the top to sort of mark it off. But then if I've sort of took a break from it and go back to it, sometimes I've forgotten what I've done. So Teresa fell down another rabbit hole again. I use my Google Chrome and Pattern Keeper. Pattern Keeper for computers. You load it through BlueStacks. Yeah. It's free. Not sure if markup works that way. Not sure. I'm not sure. Like I say, I've only ever used markup on iPads. Because that's, when I'm sitting there stitching, normally I'm in the living room or very rare will I sit here and do stitching. And when I do, I tend to work off of a paper copy just because I have a desk in front of me. It makes it so much easier. Justine says, hiya, sorry I'm late. I didn't realise you was on and I was making my first machine stitch cushion with my bothy threads. Gorgeous girl finish. Yay, I have a full finish. Well done, congratulations. There's nothing quite like a good finish. I think we should get claps in the chat for that. And the fact that you're even finishing it as well, that's, yeah, very productive. I'm sort of lacking on the finishing side of things at the moment, but I am feeling the process, people, with the stitching right now. When I do get to stitch, I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. So the fact that I haven't had any finishes, I can suffer that. So Karen gave a tip regarding the cryonic. So when she's working with the cryonic or cryonic, whichever way you pronounce it, she runs it over a damp sponge. It gives her better control. So maybe that's a good tip. Maybe you should try that. I haven't tried that, Karen. I might have to give that a go. It's been a while, my lovely, since we've had a chance to have a chat, hasn't it? We'll definitely have to have a catch up soon. The plan, she says, is to be working from home this week. So providing nothing changes, I might have to give you a shout after work one evening, and we can have a little natter. You can tell me all the gossip, all the stuff that I've been missing out on, because I miss out on a lot. And especially at the moment, because I know I always say the same thing. I always sit there and say how busy I am, but I do tend to find that my life gets busier and busier. Right, okay, we're going to do some more of this lovely teal colour because I like that. M 3848. Where are you? There you are. So Laurie says, I use Pattern Keeper and paper. Pattern for full coverage. Aussie Stitcher in Texas, I'll only use digital now. I even go as far as to use charting software and will chart the paper pattern in. It takes time, but worth it in the long run. Yay. That's what I like to see. We've got claps in the chat, people. Claps in the chat. Teresa, I have a question. Can you put the beads at the same time as we stitch without translucent thread? You can do. You can do exactly as you please. The only thing that I would say with that is I tend to find that it depends on your viewpoint of the thread that you're going to use. So if you're not using a translucent thread, it's whether you are looking to match the color of the thread to the bead, because sometimes the stitches around it won't be the same color as the bead. The general rule is if you do your stitching first and then you're putting your beads on, you would normally try to match where possible. You try and match the color of the thread that you use with the color of the bead. So if you was, for me personally, if I was sort of putting, you know, silver or white beads on, I would probably go with a white thread. If I was putting a bead on or beads that are like gold or yellows, those sorts of colors, then I would pick like a goldy yellow type color thread. And obviously the stitching around it might not actually be the same color, but there is absolutely no reason why you have to bead at the end. I don't always. I tend to find that I switch backwards and forwards depending on whether it's on a Q-snap or whether it is on a scroll. So the only proviso that I or the only rule that I put on myself, and this is just a personal thing, it's not that this is the way it should be done. I'm always really quite frightened to put any beads on any project that I'm going to put on a Q-snap, purely because if it's in the Q-snap and I've sort of filled the whole space up and then I put the beads on, for me then to move the project so that I can get to the bit underneath or above or to the left or the right, it would mean that potentially there's a chance that I could crush the beads under the Q-snaps. Whereas when I'm working on a bigger project, which would always be on a scroll frame, it doesn't bother me so much, because once it's on a scroll, it just sort of, you just roll it down. So I always put a bit of felt over the top, and then when I roll it, it's just make sure that when the fabric rolls in on itself, and the beads are rolling inwards, it can't damage the fabric on either side, and also it's less likely to crush the beads because you put some felt in. Again, I'm always quite mindful. Once I put beads on a project with my stitching, I won't make my project necessarily completely drum tight the same way as I would if I hadn't put the beads on. So, you know, that is something that you do need to consider. Whatever your stitching style is, you do need to be a little mindful that when you're going to do beading as well as stitching as you go, that there is an element of protection of the beads that you'll need to do depending on what, you know, whether you're using Q-snaps or scroll bars. If you're a stitching hand person, I don't think it makes any difference whatsoever. Unfortunately, I fail miserably at stitching in hand. It's like I've tried it a couple of times and I physically cannot do it. I just can't do it. Emma says, Teresa, I finished my cottage in a snowman and now I'm doing Begilding Tiger. Oh, I don't know that one. Teresa working from home this week. Maybe you will get more stitchy time. I would love to say that I will get more stitchy time. But, she says, I've been getting out in the garden. And I'm going off on a holiday in just over 3 weeks. To Greece. So at the moment, I'm sort of hitting the gym and doing a lot of gym stuff as well. So again, limited time, people, limited time. That with the fact that I've been away in Italy most of last week, there's a lot of catching up, you know, housework, washing, considering what I'm going to pack for the next holiday, catching up on work, because although I went away for the whole week, for the whole working week, I didn't have any cover. So whilst I was in Italy, I was actually monitoring my inbox just to make sure that nothing urgent came in. But I am going to be going back to quite a bit. So I think there might be a bit of extra work hours required for this week to play catch up. But I'm hoping that, since as my boss seems to be away this week, it will make it so that I won't get disturbed with additional stuff, because it all tends to normally go a bit quiet when she's away, which will then give me the time to sort of play catch up. But like I say, I've been super busy. I mean, even when I come back from Italy, so I flew back in from Italy, I think we landed about midnight on the Friday night. I was at a dancing lesson on Saturday morning, and then I had another dancing lesson on Sunday. So yeah, super busy. I do love being busy, admittedly, but it does tend to sort of eat into my time. But then it doesn't help that I have so many sort of hobbies that I like to do, because I like my stitching, but I also like to sort of make sure that I stay as fit and healthy as possible. So I too tend to do a bit of gym working out, or, you know, I'll do some home workouts. Plus, obviously, I love my garden, and even though we keep getting the rain, which is not helpful, the garden is growing. I mean, the grass, I can't believe how fast my grass is growing. Literally, I mow the grass, and within 2 or 3 days, I need to mow it again. So, yeah, it's that time of year. I mean, we've not even really hit our summer yet, have we? So, but it is definitely keeping me busy in the garden. I've got some veggies on the go as well, which are, thankfully my mum helped by looking after those whilst I was away, because I was a little bit worried about my cabbages. So I've got like a chug, because my garden isn't huge, because obviously we've got my mum's property in the same, basically in the garden. In fact, I think Mum was on the stream. Hello, Mum, if you're still on the stream. Because I'm quite limited on space in the garden, and I am all about my flowers, I'm quite reluctant to have anywhere where I put vegetables, because if I put vegetables in, there's no room for my flowers. But I bought a trug, I think during COVID, and I really, really loved the trug. So one half of the trug, I got like a double. One half of the trug has got the strawberries in it, and the other half of the trug, me and Mum decide between us what we're gonna grow. So I tend to find that it's like, you know, we've tried a number of different things, but at the moment we've got cabbages, lettuces, onions in the trug along with the strawberries, and then in the greenhouse I've got 2 sweet pepper plants and a courgette plant, I think. Is it courgettes? Yes, and a courgette plant. So obviously the fact that the temperatures here have finally started to like raise up, I was a bit worried that everything was going to dry out. So I gave my mum instructions because I knew I couldn't trust the rest of the family to go out and water the greenhouse and my dahlias, because my dahlias are rocking in the greenhouse currently. I'm just, because it's been so wet, I'm still very reluctant to put them out in the garden, even though size-wise they are completely ready to be in the garden. I'm just a little reluctant to put them in the garden because I am inundated currently with slugs and snails. And I'm like, if I put them out there and it's as wet as it has been, literally, I won't have any dahlias left, I don't think. Because nothing's making them go away. They love... I don't know if it's because they've year on year they know there's always dahlias there. It just seems to be, it's like a slug fest out there. I have slug fest in my garden. I was thinking in putting the bead in the X of the stitch, but my doubts was I'm making the stitch weak with the weight of the bead. Now I'm a bit confused. I was thinking to put the bead in the X of the stitch, but my doubts was I'm making the stitch weak with the weight of the bead. Well, no disrespect, but that's how you would normally do the stitching with the beads. So when you look at like sort of like these Bella Filipinas and the anything that's got beads on, you use the thread. I mean, certain threads. So if you're using like a beading thread, so a beading thread is like a Nymo thread. There's one called Nymo, which comes in all different colors. And then you've got obviously the invisible thread, which is most of the time it's nylon. So then they tend to be a lot stronger than the standard DMC cotton. But you can use standard DMC cotton if you're worried about whether it's going to snap or you're going to lose the integrity in the thread itself. Providing the bead has got a big enough hole, you should be able to use 2 strands and do it that way. But under general rule, a lot of people actually use the DMCs to put their beads on, as well as things like Nymo thread, because it is actually a beading thread, but it's a coloured thread, and it's more like, rather than being round, so Nymo thread, I think I done a video on it where I shared about what Nymo thread is. The Nymo thread, the one that I've been using, it's not completely round. It's not like circular. It's almost like a flattened like ribbon effect. So I think that actually helps to sort of make sure that it's maybe stronger. Not stitching relating, but how is your dancing coming along? I'm impressed with you. I'm impressed with that because I had a hip replacement. I walk a lot, but dance isn't really a thing I've attempted. Do you know what? I was a bit, not reluctant, a bit hesitant about whether I should consider going back to dancing given the hip replacement. But I also thought to myself, well, as long as I've left it long enough for it to truly heal, because, you know, it takes a year for it to heal enough that, you know, you can't really, not that you can't tell, because you can always tell you've had a hip replacement. But sometimes it can still get a bit sore after, like within the first year. But since as I'm now at year 2, plus I've sort of tried to strengthen the muscles up before I've gone back to dancing. So, you know, I don't just walk. You know, I'll make sure that I do the exercising, and I'll do squats and lunges and things that are going to sort of really get the glute muscle to fire back up. I did all that before I actually went back to dancing. So other than the fact that it's not as flexible as the other hip, it just feels a little tighter. And I would say that only dancing that actually seems to be sort of more of a problem for it is not the ballroom anyway. It's the Latin. The ballroom, I wouldn't even know about a hip replaced. It doesn't seem to make any difference to it whatsoever. I think I have to be more, in all fairness, I think I have to be more careful with it when I go to the gym and I'm doing my squats and lunges than I do them when I'm dancing. But like I say, so the Latin dances, it's a bit more tricky because obviously there is a lot of natural rotation of the hips, like where you push the hip back and up for certain stances. And arguably I would say that I think I'm quite restricted in that area, but I don't know whether that's just because I haven't really stretched it out properly, and obviously this is it's sort of new to it, and over time whether it will free up a little bit more, who knows. But so far it hasn't seemed to affect it. But you know, I've always been a great advocate. Well, what works for one person won't always work for another person, and the only way you're ever going to know what you're capable of doing and what your body says you're capable of doing is go and give it a go. So those sorts of things, I wouldn't instantly say, oh no, I wouldn't do that because you've had a hip replacement, because for some people actually they were better after a hip replacement than they were before they had the hip replacement. So, and it's great exercise. Dancing is great exercise. Right, where am I? For some reason on my screen the chat isn't moving, so I have to keep scrolling it up. Kathy says, I stitch in hand with Ada and even weave, but not with linen. I've tried. It doesn't seem to matter whether I try Ada, even weave, linen. I cannot stitch in hand. Hats off to those people that can, because it would be so much easier, especially like when you're commuting or I want to sit and stitch on the sofa. If I didn't need to worry about a stand or a Q-snap, and I could just sort of, roll it up. And I know that the stitching mummy, she always stitches in hand, and I'm in awe whenever I've sat and watched someone stitch in hand, because I'm like, how do they do that? How do they do that and get all their stitches to look nice? Because mine look an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster when I try and do it. Just goes to show you. And I know that a lot of people have sort of said, for those that stitch in hand, that's the way they learn to stitch. And I'm sure that if I persevered with it enough, she says, I am sure that it would be doable. But it's just because I'm so used to now having either a Q-snap or a scroll bar, I tend to find that I get really irritated if my stitches don't look right for me. I'm sure they don't look that bad, in all fairness, but I still struggle with the whole concept of it. And I know that a lot of them do like a sewing method, and yeah, I can't do that. Right, hold on, I've just dropped my threads. Hold up. Oh. I'm starting the herb garden for the first time. Excited to be able to have fresh herbs for the garden for cooking. Oh yeah, I must admit, the first year that I got my veggie garden going, I did put some herbs in. I think I had chive. What did I have? Chive, rosemary, thyme, and I've still got rosemary and thyme in the garden, just growing in the because they're like flowers. I mean, the rosemary and the thyme are more like flowers, so they're sort of in the beds. So, I mean, in all fairness, I could actually go out and sort of harvest some. I just tend not to, because, well, to be honest, most of the things that I cook don't require herbs. I'm a very boring eater, and I don't do the cooking in the house. It's not to say that I can't cook. I can cook. I just don't. And my whole family are a bit like, they all eat something different. Darren is sort of like chicken and rice man, because obviously he does all of his fitness, and he's very fussy about what he eats. Lauren is very fussy about what she eats. So it's like, well, for me to do a really nice meal where you would require sort of all the herbs and stuff to put into the food, it would be just for me. So I tend not to. But I absolutely love I love them for their flowering and for their smell. And I love to rub my hands through them and check out the aroma. It's lovely. But especially if you're if you're a cook and you love sort of cooking with herbs and stuff, there's nothing better than grown out the garden. Hi Teresa, first time in a live stream. Hi Sylvia, welcome to the stream. I've been following your channel and stitching whilst hearing your channel. Saying hi from, oh, where's that? Guatemala? I need to Google where that is. We need to know where that is. Does anyone know where that is? because I don't. I'm gonna Google it. Where is GUA? Where's it gone? It's in the chat. GUATE. Okay, let's see where you are. Central America. It's on the border of the north and west of Mexico. Welcome to the stream. Sorry, I needed to know where you was because I've never heard of that place before. But I'm pleased that you're well, I'm pleased that you're following, and hopefully you're getting some well-earned stitchy or craft time whilst we sit and chat. Hi Maria in New Jersey. It's a rainy Memorial Day, so I'm settling in for some patriotic stitching. Sounds perfect. I mowed already 2 here in AK. This year I bought a raised bed, mini greenhouse for veggies this year. I planted all the flowers. It is usually safe to plant here towards the end of May. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, where I live in the sunny southeast, we tend to find that by about this time, I mean, it's very unlikely that we would have any type of frost now. Normally about May time, we sort of say, you know, it's unlikely to have frost. So most of the time, most garden plants I'm happy to put out in May. It's just purely because at the moment it's a very wet May. And with so many slugs and snails around, yeah, they love dahlias. If it was something that they didn't like eating so much, it wouldn't be so bad. I wouldn't be so reluctant to put them out. But all the time that the dahlias are in the greenhouse, obviously it requires more of my time because there's a lot more watering and checking on them in there than there is once they go in the garden. So it needs to stop raining here in the UK. We need to just have, you know, less rain, and then I can get the dahlias out of the greenhouse, which will free up a bit more time. On-screen chat hasn't moved for ages. Has it not? Where are you at? Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Why is that doing that? Why is it stuck? Oh. Let me see. Hold up. Chat box. I don't know if I should try and do this myself without Lauren being here. Is it working now? Doesn't seem to move, does it? If it makes you feel any better, mine stopped moving on mine. I have to keep scrolling down. I tell you what, sit tight, people. Let me get the tech guru back in and see if she can work out what's going on, because it might just be a simple fix like it was last time. Fingers crossed that's what it is. We always like a not so technical issue. So sit tight, carry on stitching, knitting, grab yourself a drink, refreshment. I will be right back. Let me see if we can get Lolly to come and fix our little issue here. So hold it there, people. Okay, the chat should have refreshed. So you have to let me know whether it's refreshing on the screen for you. But she also refreshed mine, which has now kicked out all of the questions and all of the comments. So I'm just gonna move over to this chat so I can see what was said, because I've my chat now isn't showing everything either. So let's have a little look. As my belly dance teacher says to me, move your hips from your knees. Some movements come from the knees, not from the hips itself. Here, here. Charlotte says, stitching in hand is so easy, I couldn't do frames. I know, Charlotte. I've watched you stitch and you are like a Trojan. Silver Stitches says, I'm planning to take a couple of stamped cross stitches with me on holiday and a Haid. Hope this holiday I actually get stitching done. I only stitch in hand on stamped projects. Well, fingers crossed you get lots of stitching done. The Intuitive Stitcher. Hi, Teresa. Just got here. How was your time away? How is your mum and your puppies? The puppies are currently... Let me see if I can show you the puppies. Where am I? Which way am I going? Do I want to go this way or do I want to go... I want to go... Yeah, I want to go this way. The girls are currently... She says... Let me whiz out the way. There they are. You got one curled up there and one stretched out down there. So I played a little bit of ball with them, and we done some exercising before I came on stream in the hope that that would make them sort of super docile and chilled, and it seems to have worked. So it's always good when these things work. Mum's fabulous. She's got some issues with her back. She done some gardening, and yeah, the problem is my mum loves to do the gardening and loves to go out and do a little bit of bits and pieces, but her hips and her back do not do her any favours, which then make it so that she stiffens up a little bit. So, and she doesn't like the cold weather, because although it's not been freezing here, we've had like a bit of a wind, and the wind has been chilly. It's been like a chilly wind. So not quite warm enough for mum to come out in her shorts and t-shirt yet. But once she can, there'll be no stopping her. She'll be out in the garden pruning the roses, because they look magnificent currently. But yeah, no, mummy's doing well. The puppies are doing really well at the moment. They're very, very happy. Teresa, can I ask you how you are with your menopause? Because I'm going through perimenopause and underactive thyroid, and it's not fun, and I'm working really hard on exercising. Mine's still being a bit of a roller coaster. I'm still getting a lot of sort of side effects. Even though I'm on the HRT, it hasn't quite fixed it. It may just be that I still need a bit more of a tweak. But I am still doing much, much better than I was. My energy levels are not always great, but I tend to find, in all fairness, when they say that stress is one of the biggest zappers of energy, especially with the more mature age, I don't think they're wrong there, because the more stressed I am, and like when I'm at work and stuff, the more sleep I feel like I need. The more relaxed I am, the less I'm stressing. I don't feel quite so tired all the time. But yeah, I'm still, it's still a work in progress. But it swings and roundabouts with me at the moment. You know, just when I think things are looking up, there'll be something else. So yeah, I've had a few kidney infections. I've got a scan tomorrow that I need to go and have. They're going to check my kidneys, and see whether there's anything that they can do for me. I can't live on antibiotics, because that seems to be the only fix at the moment. But yeah, like I say, it's definitely a work in progress. Mary's off to have her shower. Bye bye, sweetheart. Thank you for hanging out. Are you going to Flower Power next weekend, or Grace Notes retreat in August? Both are in Easton. No. No, I'm being quite sensible with my retreats at the moment. In all fairness, I think with the whole going away, so a lot of the retreats tend to be in the summer months, which I won't go on holiday in the summer months. I won't go on retreats really in the summer months, purely because it's when I'm really busy in the garden, and there isn't really anyone else here that can do the gardening. So you know, I need to try and stay on top of things. And I love the sun. I love the summer weather. So I love going to retreats when, you know, it's cold outside, or it's, you know, the weather's not that great. Sort of spring, autumn, summer, spring, autumn, winter. I love going to retreats. But through the summer season and towards the end of spring, I tend to sort of not go, purely because I like being in the garden. And I feel quite cheated if I'm sort of stuck indoors. Although I'm stuck indoors and I'm stitching, I'm not out in the garden and not enjoying the sunshine. I think being here, you just don't get that much sunshine. So when we do get it, it's like there was a Facebook post that I saw where it was like, this is what a UK person looks like when the sun comes out. And she does, you know, she's doing this mad dash out down the stairs, putting her cosy on. That's sort of me, but more to just be in the garden. So... so yeah, I'm a bit particular about when I go on retreats, but yeah, currently I just got the Essex Needle retreats for the rest of this year, and I think that's it for this year. Oh no, I've got the Bella retreat, I think, in October as well, but they're the only ones that I'm going to this year, especially since I've just got back from Italy from a getaway with the girls. So 112 degrees here in my truck. Oh, it's definitely not 112 degrees here, I can assure you. I've got my sweater on, look, because it's a bit chilly. All my energy seem to be on at the moment is Mr. Darcy. Is that a legitimate reason not to cross stitch? Colin Fife has taken residence in my head. Oh, there's nothing quite like someone to aspire you, is there? Tina says, when is the Baileys arriving? Do you know what? There isn't a Baileys arriving this time. There is a tipple. It will be tipple time, but it's not going to be a Baileys. So we'll surprise you with that when it turns up. Teresa, I've sent you photos of the tiger and my cottage and the snowman on Messenger on Facebook. Thank you, Emma. I'll have a little look at that. Joyce says, Teresa, how is your princess duck? It's getting not very much love currently. But I was talking about that earlier, that I sort of said, well, what I think I might do is for Whip Go in June. My Whip Go in June basically says that I need to be... I think I've got about 9 days worth of full coverage stitching, just because the numbers that have been called. And at first I was thinking, well, I was just going to have to sit and stitch on alternative reality. But I think what I'm going to do is actually pull out the duck as well. So I'll do a little bit on alternative reality. Hold on, where am I at? Is that 3? Where have we got? 1, 2, yeah. So I think I'm going to do a little bit on alternative reality. But I'm also going to do a little bit on my duck. So, because I do love working on the duck. Right, let me just make sure that I'm getting this right. Don't want to be getting this wrong now. Let me just check to make sure I'm in the right place here. Yeah, I think so. I think we're good. I think we're good. That's it. Silver Stitches G&T. How did you know? It's not actually gin and tonic though. It's Edinburgh gin with rhubarb, I think it is. Rhubarb and pink gin is basically what is the tipple of choice for today. You know, now that the winter's over and there's not loads of Baileys in the fridge, I'm going with the fresher version. So a G&T will be in order. Chloe says, how are your little gnomes? Do you know what? I've got one more gnome to do. I was debating on whether I was going to take them away to Italy with me. And I was like, do you know what? No. No, because the gnomes The gnomes have been getting lots of love on the train. And I thought to myself, well, if they're already getting lots of love on the train, it feels wrong to then take them to Italy with me. But I do need to pull them out and get a bit of a wiggle on, because it would be nice to get a finish. And that is quite close to a finish, with one little gnome left to go. But the other thing is, so I'm not commuting this week. So providing all goes according to plan and nothing changes, I'm not commuting this week. So it's unlikely that they'll get any love this week. I'm not even sure that I'm actually going into the office next week, or at least not all of it. So yeah, I think the gnomes will come back out when I commute into London, and I'll use those as my commute stitch to get it finished. And then I suppose I best start on some of my Christmas stuff. I know. I'm sitting here talking about Christmas, right? What on earth? Oh, hello, people. Is it not even in a gin glass with no ice? Can I have it in my herb gin glass with some ice, please? I don't know. I got a slapdash gin then. Can't have that. Can't have the slapdash gin. In honour of your Italy trip, I'm going to go and grab a glass. Oh, yes, definitely. Mad Morty, go and get your tipple of choice. So for those of you that are down for the tipple, I know. We shouldn't even be considering tipples when it's not, you know, it's a work day. It's a school night tomorrow night. Or tonight is a school night, really, because I've got work tomorrow. But one little gin will not hurt, she says. I hope to drink a lot of G&T on holiday and wine. I only drink loads on holiday. I don't really drink that much. I'll have like the odd one, but it'll be like one a week or one. Thank you. See, I've even got a special glass that says Her Ladyship. This is how I'm supposed to have my gin. I can't believe you just turned up with a wine glass with a gin in it. I was like, really? What on earth? What is that? Oh, yes, that does taste rather spanking, I have to say. Very fresh. We had a very fresh gin. G&T is my summer go-to. Betsy says, I love your gnomes. So do I. I would just like them to be done. But I am making it more complicated with the gnomes, though. Because part of the gnome thing that I've decided is that cotton ball that the first gnome actually has on him. I am basically going to make the cotton ball out of French knots. One, because it's going to help me learn to have consistent French knots, because I'm going to do so many of them, and that's the plan. But obviously doing all those French knots is, yeah. I think it's going to take a bit longer than I anticipate with French knots rather than cross stitches. The rest of it's going to be cross stitch. It's just literally the little cotton puff ball thing that he holds. Tina says gin and 7-Up. Don't like tonic. Yeah, see, I'm not a great lover of G&T, but I do love this Edinburgh gin with rhubarb. It's so sweet. It's nice and sweet. Problem for me is I have a bit of a sweet tooth when it comes to alcohol. So unless it tastes fruity and less alcoholic, I can't really drink it, which is really quite bad. But then I'm not really a wine drinker either. So, you know, whilst we was away in Italy, I tended to have Italian Asti Spumante. I had the odd little red wine, but red wine is... I wouldn't say that I'm a wine drinker. I tend to get a bit sozzled on wine very quickly. And normally quite sick. What's up, sweets?
The dogs need feeding?
Yes, please. If you'd like to feed them, that would be lovely. Her ladyship. Is that what the other half calls you? No, not normally. It's just that the glass says it. So because the glass says it. What's this? It's lunchtime here. I can't have pisco sour. Is it a pisco? Am I saying that right? A pisco sour now. Don't make me do it, Teresa. Maybe a pina colada. Oh, yes. Or margarita. See, now, if I was in Arizona, then it would be rude not to have a margarita, because Deborah in Arizona actually converted me over onto those. But I've only actually been able to drink them whilst I've been there. Because all the ones that I've tried here in the UK when I've asked for one didn't taste like the one that I got when I was in Arizona. And I think that was because Deborah made them. And she knows how to make them really well. So it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, I don't drink. And for someone who doesn't drink, I've found quite a few tipples of choice recently. Silver Stitch says, I love doing French knots. I would love doing French knots if they were consistent, but none of mine seem to be consistent. Some go well, some go badly. Sometimes they look really big, sometimes they look really small, sometimes they look like I've pulled them too hard. So yeah, if I do enough French knots, I'm hoping that there will be an element of consistency. Karen says, since you like Baileys, try Ballantine Choc Mocha Cream Whiskey. Oh, I might have to try that then. Does it taste like whiskey though? Because it needs to be sweet. I can only drink sweet things, hence why I like Baileys, because Baileys is quite sweet. Have you thought about using Whisper Thread for the puff bits? Hannah, I did think about using the Whisper Thread, but I used Whisper Thread when I done my autumn sign, the Cricket Collection one. I used the Whisper Thread on, I think it was the cat. I used some black Whisper. And although it did go fluffy, it didn't go as fluffy as I thought it would. And to be honest, it was a bit of a pain in the butt using the Whisper, because it sort of sometimes balled up a little bit too much for my liking. So although I think I did get a suggestion to use that before, and it did cross my mind, but I thought I quite like the idea of sort of doing the French knots. One, because it will give it a different look, but two, because it's the sort of stitch that probably, if I had my own choice, I wouldn't necessarily stitch it, purely because of the inconsistencies. Whereas if I make the whole thing all French knots, or for the whole of that cotton puff, it might actually help me to get my head around the whole French knot. Because at the moment, in all fairness, sometimes when I've gone onto charts and it says French knots, I've bowed out of French knots and put beads in instead. Which is sort of cheating, sort of. So I thought, well, actually, if I force myself to do something that's got French knots in it, it will help me to sort of be consistent with the French knots. So it's sort of like that. It was a method to the madness, but it's more a case of, you know, if I feel that I can do a French knot properly, I probably would find that I'm not so inclined to just sort of be like, no, I'm not doing French knots. Right, hold on. I just need to see what it is that I'm stitching next. What are we stitching next? What are we stitching next? So 321. I don't think I've got that one. I'm gonna have to forego that colour, because I don't think I've got any of those threads. I don't know why I haven't got that thread. The one thread that I need to keep it all in sync here, and I haven't got it. Perhaps you may enjoy mead. Mead? Mad Multi, you're going to need to tell me what you mean. Hi, Emily in Arizona. Welcome to the stream. I found I like Long Island iced teas. For a country that has prohibited, they came up with a lot of alcoholic beverage. Yeah, my husband's quite partial to Long Island iced tea. I'm not a great lover myself. French knot cough tutorial cough on my channel cough. Ah, Multi, now I'm catching up with you. Right, okay. I'll Mad Multi has a French knot tutorial on her channel, so I will go and check that out and see whether I make head knot out of it. And Multi, if it doesn't go well, you know, You might end up with me harassing you, going, what am I doing wrong? I saw a stitcher using French knots on a sheep. It looks so real because of the texture. See, Betsy, that was what I was thinking. It's like, because it's a fluffy cotton ball, like cotton plant, I thought it would make sense. And I did take the idea off of my friend Mary Perkins, because my friend Mary Perkins was doing the same one, and she decided to put French knots on hers, and it did look, it just changed how it looked, and I quite liked that. But for me, I'm just thinking it's going to kill two birds with one stone. If I can't work out how to do a French knot after doing probably about 100, 200 of them, then I'm never going to be able to do a French knot. So that's where I'm going with this in my head. Inconsistency would give it a more natural look rather than a uniform of French knots. That's why they are so prettily used for flowers. Yeah, but there's inconsistent, Tina, and then there's terrible. Yeah, slight difference. If I had one that was big, one that was small, but it still looked like a French knot, I'd be laughing. But I can't sit here and advocate that that's what I get when I do them. Obviously, your French knots are much better than mine. French knots don't use tapestry needle. Oh, it moved. Don't use a tapestry needle. Use a needle that is the same diameter, the whole length of the needle. Karen. So what sort of a needle is that then? Would a 28 needle work? Because that's sort of the diameter. Oh, hang on a minute. What did she say? The diameter needs to be the same diameter, the whole length of the needle. So, so what? This needle won't work because that sort of looks like it's the same diameter. Does it not? Or do you mean I need to use like a? I don't know. What needles don't change, that they're just thin? Is that like a normal sewing needle? Because if so, then that's a challenge for me, because I will poke myself a gazillion times. French knots are the absolute bane of my existence. They've gotten better over the years, but not by much. Southern comfort and sour for this girl. Stacey, yeah. Well, that might be the bane of my life, but my theory and process going forwards is, well, actually, I just need to do more of them. The more I do it, the better it should get, is where I'm going with it in my head. My chat is not moving much either, and have to stop and move it as well. Mead is a spirit distilled from honey. Oh, hadn't tried that. That could be a new one. So Mad Morty said, hey, I taught Brom to do French knots. Well, look, if you can teach him how to do French knots, then this should be super duper easy peasy. And next time I get to speak to the Brom, I'm going to ask him what he thinks of his French knots. Betsy, I have 321. Do you want me to toss it through the chat? I have 321. Do you want me to toss it through the chat? 321 what? I added Bailey's to my chocolate chip dough cookie dough and let it sit in the fridge for 24 hours. Oh, that sounds nice. All this talk of Bailey's is making me want one. Yeah, no, see, I'm not feeling the Bailey's. I am feeling the gin though. Right, so Karen the Needlebug says to get a needle so that it's a consistent diameter means that you need use a regular sewing needle. This could be turning into a stabby moment. I'm feeling that I could come back looking like a pincushion after this. I'm not a lover of French knots. Can never do them when I want to, and they always look great when I don't mean it to. Yeah, see, I think that might be my problem. You could always do a colonial knot instead of a French knot. Paula, it's a good shout. I'll have to check. Maria says 321 is the thread you're missing. Oh, sorry, my love. Yes, that was, wasn't it? That was me red one that I was missing. I don't know where mine's gone. I've even looked in my full set and it's not there. So it's in one of the projects somewhere. Because when I need it, I can't find it. When I won't need it, I will find it. I'll guarantee you. Right. What is the time, people? Okay, we're coming up for 8:45. So I think I'm gonna do one more strand of a different colour, because I can't do the colour that I need to do because I haven't got the thread. So what else can we stitch? What other colours do we need? We could do the tick, couldn't we? What's the tick? 718. I'm sure we've got a 718. Oh, I've only gone and done it again. See, the gin's gone to my head already. That didn't take long. 718. 718. Where are we at? Let's have a look. 718. Yes, we have 718. Floss DMC Floss DMC 321. I'm glad everyone else has got the colour that I need except me. Okay. So what's everyone's plans for this week coming then? What are we all up to? Have we all got excitement? Because I'm pretty sure that most of the people that are on this chat, you're all on a long weekend too, aren't you? It's not just me. I think the US is on a long weekend. Are you not? Are we all on a long weekend? I get to go camping this weekend. Yay, you. Rather you than me, I have to say. I'm not a camper. I would love to say that I'm a glamper and that I'd go glamping, but I don't even think I'd do that either. So 21st of May was for Chile. I'm on day 1 of 6 and watching whilst working. Oh no. Yep, US had Memorial Day weekend this weekend. Yes, 3-day holiday. Yes. I'm a teacher, so I have a whole week off. Oh, yeah, it's half term as well, isn't it? I wondered why the shops were so busy. That makes total sense now. Okay, right, where were we at? Let's have a little look. What have we got going on here? So we want to start there. Preparing to have a new kitchen and bathroom installed next week. Oh, Denise, that sounds like fun. That's very exciting. I know it's going to be an upheaval, but it's all worth it in the end, right? Garden and pool maintenance takes up my stitchy time. Yeah, but you'll have a very clean pool. Very clean pool. It's good that you it's good that you need pool maintenance. Can only wish for a thing. The only pool I've got is the puddles outside from the rain. Happy to say I'm taking a whole summer this year. Oh wow, how glorious is that? Christy says she's getting a new bed, training my new puppy. I was hoping my £90 would train her. Laugh out loud. I've been decorating the boys' room, so tidying and painting. God, you've all been really super productive then. I'm not the only one with the whole gardening and going to the gym. Sherry says, on a long weekend here, I'm a substitute teacher, so I'm on summer break. Do you know what? It's at times like this that I wished I worked in a school. But then I say that, but then I don't think I could deal with the children, in all fairness. Not after having my own. In Ireland, we have a long weekend. Yes, Memorial Day, rainy day today. Perfect day to stitch on the couch and stitch with you. Yeah, because it's the middle of the day for you, isn't it? I'm sitting here thinking about bedtime. So I've got to go to bed because I've got to be up in the morning and I've got lots to do, and then it's work time. I must admit, it's always hard, isn't it, when you've been away and then you come back and then it's like a reality check. It's like, yeah, back to reality. Work tomorrow. But at least I'm not having to commute. I'm working on my new grandson's birth sampler that I designed. That's lovely. Dog sitting and getting ready to move from California to North Carolina, June 17th. Oh, Linda. Nothing quite like a good move, is there? Well, look, I hope it all goes well. Sounds like an exciting move, though. Patricia says, being retired means all my weekends are long. Retirement is the best. I am jealous. So jealous. I would love to be retired. I think it's wishful thinking on my part. I've got a long way to go. Long way to go before I can start even considering any type of retirement. Morty said, coming up to your neck of the woods for Mum's funeral on Friday. Oh my God, yes, my lovely. I did see that on Facebook. I am so sorry. Oh, and it was your birthday yesterday. Oh, sweetheart. Well, look, happy birthday for yesterday. And know that you'll be in my thoughts on Friday. You and your family. Hard times, I know, sweetheart. But I hope you did do something nice yesterday with Brom. Did you do something nice? I'm a nurse, but on leave post-surgery. Stitching on couch today in a chilly, I think that's New Zealand. Almost 4 p.m. into Connecticut. Long weekend here. Going to be stitching on my hatter. Yeah, I think we need to send some hugs in the chat. Send some hug in the chat for Mad Morty. Hard times. Oh, you're all lovely. Do you know that? Love you all. Love you all. Well, I hope you've enjoyed yourselves today with the stitchy time. I think I've not done too bad, considering that I'm sitting here talking for the first time on a live stream. And you know how much I struggle with the whole counting and talking all at the same time. It's almost impossible. Oh, do you know what? It's a good job that I just said that and checked this again, because we nearly made a boo-boo there. That was so close. So close a boo-boo. Right, let's do this right, shall we? So we've got 2 stitches there. We've got 1 above it. That was almost a disaster, that was. That could have been an unpicking situation. 2, 3. 1. Ate cake yesterday, but didn't do anything exciting. As long as you had a cake, Morty. Nothing quite like a little bit of a sugar on one's birthday, right? Right, let me mark this off so that we don't go wrong here, because I tend to find that if I don't mark as I go, I can't track where I've been. And then it all goes terribly, terribly wrong. I've done 209 stitches so far, so I'm making some progress. Well, I'm pleased to hear that. I don't know how many I've done, but I've done quite well. Especially for me, for a live stream. It's sort of unheard of. Normally I sort of sit and talk and can't sort of get my brain and my hands to work in sync. Or if I do, I sort of stitch it, and then by the time I come off the stream, I realise I've actually got to unpick everything that I just stitched. That seems to be another thing that I tend to do. Can you remind my other half that in 9 days that cake or cheesecake is required on birthdays? I think I just did. It is absolutely obligatory that on birthdays, cakes and cheesecakes are an absolute necessity. And if you don't have one, then it's not a true birthday. Did I do all right? Betsy said, I had to retire because I lost my job from the pandemic. I tried for 3 years to find a job. I was told I was too old to work. So now I do my art and stitching. Well, Betsy, I have to say that's rather rude. I don't think anyone is too old unless they consider themselves too old. But at least you're getting me time. I would love that. I would love the amount of people that sit there and say, oh, you know, I wouldn't want to retire. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. And I was like, oh, I would. Honestly, if I retired, because I said to my husband, I said, I would be really quite content to stay at home, do housework, go to the gym, do dinners, you know, do housework and do my stitching and do my gardening. I would be more than content. I know there's a lot of women in the world that would not be content with that type of life, but after all the commuting that I do in the city, I think I would. I don't think I would have any qualms with it whatsoever. Just the thought of not doing a 4-hour round trip commute on top of a working day would make me happy. It would make me very happy, in actual facts. Absolutely. Cake's the most important, and a drink. Cake must be a red velvet cake. They are nice, aren't they? Right, okay, where am I at? I need to make sure I'm getting this right. So we've got 2 there. Hang on, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's got 1 there, which is at the top one. Okay, so we need another 2 there. Let me just make sure I get this right, see, because we're not going where I wanted to go because I haven't got the thread that I needed. So 3 there, and then there should be, where are we at? 2 here, is it? 2 there. And then just because we can, I don't know if this one goes over. Yeah, this one goes here and there. Okay. We've mapped it out. It's all mapped out. Do you remember when I did the live streams where I actually sort of done the half of the stitch all the way through just so that I didn't need to think about it when I was stitching at the same time? Do you remember that? Susie says, I'm more busy now than I was when I was working in London. Susie, I can imagine. I can imagine how busy you are, my love. I would love to be that busy doing all the things that I want to do rather than all the things that somebody else wants me to do. Do you know what? I think that's what it is. It's not. It's because I'm not doing. I would love to be busy or equally busy, but doing things that I want to do for me, for my family, not things that I'm doing for somebody else, because that's how it feels. I don't know. I keep saying about the lottery, but I don't do the lottery, so that's not going to help me much. And the fact that they're now talking about putting the retirement age up even higher, I'm like, wow. Wow, it's going to be never ending. I'm never going to retire at this rate. Not unless I get a win or a fortune of some description. Oh, you're still all on the cake, I see. Stacey says, I was forced to stop working in 2014 because I had a stroke at 45. I struggled for a while, but got back into my crafts. I quilt, I cross stitch, I knit, I crochet and lace making. When I can, I'm happy. Oh, Stacey, I'm so pleased to hear that. So pleased. And I must admit, I mean, 45, that's very, very young to be having a stroke. But one of my very good friends, she had a stroke at 40, I think she was 46 or 47. And she didn't manage to get back to work. But over the years, she's just got better and better. I'm being watched. Why are we watching me?
I come to tell you that Bonnie won't eat at dinner.
Well, did you put biscuits in it?
Yeah.
Right. Do another bout with no biscuits, but put biscuits.
I mean, she wouldn't even go up to it.
Yeah, we'll put biscuits on a plate. I'll tell you what. Take the food away. I'll come and. Yeah, I'm coming off stream now, or in a minute. So as soon as I finish this, I'll come off stream. And
this is not how she likes it.
Bonbons is protesting because she's not getting dinner the way she wants it.
Biscuits separate to the meat.
She likes the biscuits separate to the meat, which is what I've been doing, and it actually makes it. Yeah, she thinks this is an a la carte restaurant. For anyone that hasn't worked it out, Bonbons is a dog, and she's been particularly fussy recently We put her on a special like dietary digestive food because she kept being sick. Since she's been on it, she was fine. Then now all of a sudden she's decided that she doesn't want to eat the biscuits with the meat. She'll only eat the meat on its own. But then she follows it up with the biscuits. So as long as you put some water on the biscuits, she'll eat the biscuits after she's eaten the meat. But if you try and put the biscuits in with the meat, she won't eat it. She is such a diva. I have a diva dog. A very diva-ish dog. Right. Okay, people. Considering that this is the first live stream that I've done since... when was the last time we did this? Oh, sorry about the dog. She's barking now. The last stream that I did was back in February. So a long time. I don't think we've done too bad on the stitching and the chatting. What do you reckon? Lauren, can you come and shut this door, please? Honestly. Honestly. See what I'm living with? See what I'm having to contend with, people? Well, I have to say, I have had an absolute blast. I have thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you all. Hearing all about what you've been up to and what you're doing and what fun you've got ahead of you for this week. For those of you that are on half term and for those of you that are retired, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. I, on the other hand, will be working. So imagine me working as a slave, admittedly, from this space here. I'll be sat here working, which... there are worse things in life that could happen, right? I could have to do worse things than that. Like going to London, as example. So yeah, but thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. I would love to sit there and say we'll do it again very, very soon. But like I said, life is busy. So I think what I'm just going to do is I will just post up like I did today, impromptuly, when I've got enough time to sit down and do another Stitch With Me live. Hopefully it won't be too far away. But obviously I've got a holiday coming up in just under 3 weeks. No, just over 3 weeks. And I'm off away on holiday for a week. So yeah, I'm sort of up against the clock at the minute, but I will be back soon. Obviously I'll be back for my flosstube video, which I'm not going to get it loaded this weekend. Maybe next weekend I'll get my flosstube up and then I can share with you my new start that I did when I started in Italy. So thank you so much for coming and hanging out. I hope you have a wonderful rest of day for those of you that are still in the wee hours. For those of you in the UK, I hope you have a wonderful evening and that, yeah, tomorrow's not too testing for us all that are going back to work. I've had a blast. Thank you for helping me stitch. I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. And until next time, see you later.